Welcome back to Phae's Place, a podcast where dreamers have the liberty to dream. I'm your host, Phaedra, and I am so excited that we have this time to dream together. Our guest today truly lives at the crossroads of creativity and technology. His fingerprints can be found in films such as Jumping the Broom and on songs sung by legends like Vanessa Bell Armstrong, Brandy, and Vince Gill, just to name a few. His extensive career as a producer, songwriter, engineer, arranger, and musician makes him a professional, but his passion for music is what makes him stand out. I'm excited to talk with Grammy-Award Winning hitmaker, Mr. Victor Caldwell. Thank you for stopping by Phae's Place.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm busy, trying to stay busy also.
That's a blessing. Now take us back to 5-year-old Victor Caldwell growing up in Chattanooga, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And if someone was to ask him, what do you want to be when you grow up? What would have been your answer?
Actually, 7 years old in Chattanooga. I was born somewhere else, but
Okay.
7 years old in Chattanooga. It was leaning towards sports. Actually, I played baseball, I played basketball, didn't touch any football. I was a little too small for football as far as the weight is concerned. But it was that until as I progressed, and my dad was a musician also. So I was seeing music going on all day long, 7 days a week in the church, the whole 9 yards. Now, as I got older, I started playing instruments myself. My dad got me into playing piano just like he did with my brother. Piano, moved from piano to trumpet, played some drums, a couple other instruments, saxophone. Moved on up to around high school. Out of the blue, my dad bought me a bass guitar. And that ended up becoming probably my love more than anything. I mean, I'm still playing other instruments, especially piano, because that's where I write as far as writing songs. But bass guitar has become the main instrument. Even though I don't write on that instrument, things end up deriving around that instrument. That's kind of me in a quick little nutshell there.
Now, in 11th grade, you played on your first session, and you knew then that you kind of wanted to move into audio engineering. And after that,
Right.
you got a job in Nashville at a studio. So how did that job prepare you for your career now?
Well, everything I've done has kind of prepared me for where I am now because I am wearing every last hat. I'm wearing the engineering hat. I'm wearing the musician hat. I'm wearing the arranger's hat. I'm wearing the background vocalist arranger hat, and I do some background vocals myself. So everything that I have actually done has kind of prepared me for this. Now, the bass guitar, it led me into the engineering because I played on the session, but it was when I heard the record back months later, it didn't sound like the other records to me on the radio. So I got puzzled with that and troubled with that and said, now, why didn't the record I played on, this custom record, versus the other things that were on the radio that I was listening to at that time, which was the Bar-Kays, George Benson, probably first record, Breezing. That was one of the first records I was listening to back then. And it didn't sound the same quality-wise. So I just started digging into more of a techno thing at that point. That's why I went into engineering. And I went to Middle Tennessee State University in Murfreesboro, which was basically the only engineering program in the country in 1979. So I didn't have a choice like a lot of people do now, when they're trying to pick their careers. You got state to state, they're recording programs all over the place. For me, I had one choice. But even at that, while I was at engineering, I spent more time playing because of people calling me to play on sessions then. So I was just dibbling and dabbling in engineering, but playing more than anything. So it was really when I started an internship, it's when I actually had to fall right into the mix of it all. I didn't leave playing behind, but while I was working at a company, all my efforts had to go into doing what they needed me to do. So that's when the engineering kind of caught up with the playing, so to speak.
I know that you started off as an assistant, and you, like you said, you didn't automatically go into audio engineering. Is that correct? You was doing other things around the studio?
Right.
Now, how did that feel? Because I know you were like, I went to school for audio engineering and I'm doing everything but. What was your process? How were you able to maintain during that time?
Well, we say everything but
Okay.
when the sessions were done at the end of the day, Monday through Friday or whatever, when the session players would leave, producers, the other employees of the recording studio where I work, I usually would just hang out and stay myself. And that's when I would, of course, I would bring my bass guitar and whatever instruments that were there, like the acoustic piano that was always in the room. I would just kind of do my own thing. So really, when I got there at 8 in the morning, I might not leave to 12 midnight or 1 in the morning, even though everybody else was gone by like 8 o'clock in the evening. So I would do that a lot. I did that probably 3 or 4 days a week. So I didn't get a whole lot of sleep, but sleep didn't really matter to me at that point in my life. At age 21, 22, I was just trying to write music, continue to play music, do what do some of the things I was learning while watching other people and to watching the other engineers, watching the other players, learning techniques, learning their machinery, drum machines that were around, all the things that were around me. I was just hanging out in there. I had that opportunity to do that just because I worked there. I really never had to leave.
I love how you were working, but then you were working after work. You was working
Right,
personally. I think that's always important. And like the Bible says, all things work together for the good.
right,
I
right.
know that your dad was a pastor, am I correct?
That's correct.
And also a musician. A lot of times, PKs, they always want to say that, are you going to pastor? But you went down the musician route. You and your brother seem to go down the musician route. Did you ever fight with people saying that you were called to preach, or did your parents make you want to go down the road of preaching? How was
Uh,
that?
no, actually, my parents never really tried to guide us in any way or just in any particular way. They just
Mm-hmm.
kind of let us do what they saw that we wanted to do, what
Mm-hmm.
we were seeking out. It was music after I got to a certain point. I kind of just said, okay, forget the sports thing. Music is what I love more than anything. But even, I mean, growing up, there were lots of people who used to say, you're going to be a minister, you're going to be
Mm.
this. But so it is, I am one. I'm just ministering through music as opposed to I'm sitting up in the pulpit saying a scripture and then here we go with the message for the next 15, 20 minutes. My message is in when I write a song and how I get inspired to write it is what I see every day, what I hear people saying, what I see on the news. It just, everything just kind of makes me, okay, I hear a song in this. Plus, from reading the scriptures and all of that, it just kind of all comes together at some point.
I think that's so amazing to hear. I love that you weren't stifled by other people's opinion of you, but you were able to understand what God's purpose was for your life. And you understood that ministering doesn't have to be in just one way. There's many ways to get God's word out. And I think by you being so obedient, that's why you are so successful and people have been blessed by all the work that you have been doing and will continue to do. Now, you and your brother, y'all work together a lot.
Right?
Was that always the case? How did that partnership come about?
We have always worked together, believe it or not, even back in the days of me being in junior high school, because we were playing then for choirs that were in the city of Chattanooga. My brother was a piano player for a group called the Chattanooga District Youth Choir. I was the bass player. When he went to college and I finally got there, because he's 5 years older than I am, then I started playing with the same choirs or whatever, whoever he was playing with at Middle Tennessee State University or in that town of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. So we've always played together. And then when I started working at the recording studio and he moved back to Chattanooga as a school teacher, we were still working on songs and he would come up on the weekends. So sometimes it wasn't just the weekdays. Sometimes I was in there on the weekend after hours when nobody was there. He would come up. We would work on tunes and that's how we got things done. That's how that's how things got started with when we finally put out our first record on a record label. Because we were putting things together. He was driving back and forth from Chattanooga to Nashville. We were putting it together then, and that's how it kind of all started. So we've been working together forever. There really wasn't a point where we were not working together.
Now, just for our listening audience, they might get a little confused when you say audio engineering or producing. Can you tell our listeners exactly what that is and kind of take us through your day? I know every day is not the same.
You're right. Every day's
Typically.
not the same. Audio engineering. Well, look at the technical aspect of audio or the recording of or whatever it is that you hear in a recording. Someone is having to put that together, make them sound the way they do sound. If there are changes that need to be made, not just volume wise, but compression. Now, I might be saying some terms that might not mean a whole lot to some people, but compression, EQ wise, making the vocals sound the way they need to sound, or just instruments in general sound the way they need to sound. If we want to add effects to it, the engineer is the one who to some degree comes up with that, which means I have to learn quite a bit about equipment. So not just a mixing board that has faders on it, but I had to learn about outboard gear, how the outboard gear work, be it compressors, EQs, delays, reverbs, any type of special effects. And back in my day, that was tape machines. That wasn't how we record now. We're all digital now. Everything is hard disk recording, as far as it's on a computer. Back then, we were not doing anything on the computer. We were doing it all with a tape machine, with the reels rolling around like this. And there are some pros and cons to that world, just like there's some pros and cons to the world we live in now, digital. And of course, you know what the digital is like because you're in that world of digital. So I don't know how much you know about the old world of audio. It was a little bit different. It took a little longer in some cases, but there are a lot of good qualities to it. Now, as far as production is concerned, producing, I look at producing well in a lot of different ways, but if to compare it to something that people might understand, it's almost like a director of a movie. You're kind of the overseer, or not kind of, you are the overseer of that product. Or if you're just working on a single for somebody, you're the overseer of that product, the album, single, whatever it is, and you're kind of responsible for the final product that you turn into a record label, which means the final mix, or if you want to go back to the beginning, what song are we going to do? This is the song we're going to do. Make sure it's in the right key for the singer. The musicians that are hired, I would be the one, or if I'm co-producing with my brother, we would be the ones who hired the right musicians that we think fit that song. If we got modulations in the song, we work all those kind of things out ahead of time. Yeah, those are kind of the decisions that are made when you're trying to make a record, and the producer is the one who kind of makes them. And hopefully, everybody's in agreement as far as the producer and the artist. That's kind of how it works. That's a quick synopsis.
Now, speaking of producing, I have to ask about Speak to My Heart,
Right.
made popular by Donnie McClurkin, but you and your brother, am I right? You produced that
Yes.
song?
Right.
Just amazing. It's mastery level. There's no words to really talk about it. Can you kind of go through that process? Like, how did that song come about? Whose idea? The vocals? If I'm not mistaken, Angie and Debbie, they did the background.
They were doing the backgrounds on that. Well, that's a tune that Donnie wrote. So
Okay.
Sid and I were not writers on this song. So we basically took a song, and actually he had done that song once before on a previous record. I'm not sure how many years earlier, on a restoration choir record. But we took that version of what he had, chord change wise. Well, first of all, we had to convince him, we're going to take pieces of that and keep those choir oriented things in there, but let's add a touch of R&B and a little bit of a taste of jazz within the whole thing. Of course, most of the gospel kind of came toward the end of the song, toward the ending. But all that front end and most in the middle, we said, let's make this more of an R&B kind of jazz feel. And we kind of took the approach, believe it or not, of Luther Vandross.
See, that makes so much sense.
And
Oh.
if you listen to a lot of Luther stuff, it's as R&B as it is. A lot of the people that worked on his records were people really who were great jazz players also. So we kind of took that approach on the song, but yet trying to retain some of the gospel feel that Donnie kind of already had within the song that he had already written. That's quick. It took a while to get it and mold it like that, but that's basically what we were doing on that song.
Now, how long did that project last?
You mean that one particular song? Because on
That
that
one,
record,
right?
okay,
That
on that record, we
one
were
particular
working
song.
on 3 or 4 songs at the same time on that
Okay.
same record. So it was not just Speak to My Heart. We were working on Holy, Holy, Holy on that. Stan was on the same record. So we were working on all those at the same time. So we were kind of jumping back and forth. But our main thing was to try to get the groove of the song so that we could get the rest of the players on it So by the time we got Donnie in, everything would fit into place. As a matter of fact, we got the same guitar player that was on the Luther records to play on "Speak to My Heart." So we knew if we get some of the same players that we could get more of just what we thought it should sound like, but get those players who play kind of like this. So we got Paul Jackson Jr. to play guitar on it. So that's just one helpful thing to make it sound like where we were trying to take it. And Donnie was fine with this. It didn't take much to convince him. You never know when you throw an idea at someone that's not their first conception of it or how they hear it, and then you throw this one on them. But he was fine with that. He didn't have a problem with it.
It's a hit. I still groove to it. I mean, it's just a classic. It's amazing. Now, you also were the producer of Sacred Love Songs too?
Yes, that's TD Jakes. Yeah.
Yeah, TD Jakes. Now, you did the whole project with that. Talk a little bit about that project. You have amazing people like Lettucey on there and Fred Hammond and El DeBarge. Who came up with the ideas of what artists to get on the songs? How did you match the singers to
All
the
that,
song?
a lot of the ideas came from Jakes himself.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, whatever songs he was leaning toward and needed, or what he thought would fit that topic of sacred love songs, kind of thing. Because some of the artists we didn't actually work with, but we compiled the whole record and put it together once things were in.
Mm-hmm.
This was more of a led thing by TD Jakes. Sid and I just kind of just helped, we'll say, ring it in, so to speak, kind of keep it so that it has some continuity as far as from one song to the next. But I mean, we didn't produce every song on there, but certain songs we did. Lettucey, Sid and I actually did that. So that was a great opportunity to work with her because she's a phenomenal singer. Like the Fred Hammond tune, that was one that Fred actually did himself. It was still something that TD Jakes had in mind and what he kind of wanted to do. And so he kind of picked some of the people and the song titles of what he wanted to kind of have a part of that record. So sometimes producing is not making all decisions with other people. Sometimes it's just who you're going to add to a project and who can come through. Because if something had not worked out, we probably would have had to make some decisions on, okay, that song won't work. Because a lot of records, people do a lot more songs than actually end up on the record, believe it or not.
Right.
They
Mm-hmm.
You hear 10 songs on the record, but there might have been 20 to 25 songs actually done, and some things just got pulled out to say, these fit this concept. These might have to come along later at some other point in time. So that's kind of how that works at times.
Pursuing your dream is hard enough. You might as well look good while you're doing it. Like I always say, when you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good, you do good. Embodied Apparel is all about doing good for the community. It provides quality statement apparel and opportunities for firsthand social and civic engagement. My favorite part is not only are the t-shirts soft and comfortable, but they are printed by Turn 90, which is a nonprofit that provides therapy and job placement to men creating a new direction after prison. Now that's a dream I can get behind. Shop now at embodiedapparel.com, and for a 10% discount on your purchase, please use the code Phae's Place. Tell me about a project that you worked on that stood out to you the most, whether it was the most funniest or it was a mistake that led to one of your greatest blessings.
I would say maybe CeCe's first solo record.
Alone
Maybe
in His Presence.
Alone in His Presence was her first solo record. And, actually, that record is the one where I won my first Grammy on her first record, on her
Yes,
first
you
solo record.
did. Mm-hmm.
That one, I think, because we had not complete control of it, because CeCe obviously she has a whole lot of say so in it, but it's like we felt we had complete. Let's try a whole lot of different things that we have in the back of our head that we think would work. It wasn't necessarily what gospel music was doing. Not that we were trying to do anything of what gospel was doing, but let's bring in some of what we had learned in music, which was, we grew up playing classical music, jazz music, R&B, reggae. So that record is a combination, an orchestral kind of music also. So it's a combination of all of a lot of the things that we had done, but not too much of anything to make it say this was a classical record, or this is an R&B record, or even it's a Christian record, or a gospel record. It just kind of had a lot of elements of a lot of different things. And most of the things we do, we kind of put a lot of elements in it just because it's just the way it comes out. It's hard to play and stick to a country groove without sticking in something that's R&B or sticking in something that's something else, because it's once it's in you, it's just in you and it comes out because you feel something different as you play, whether it's bass guitar, keyboard, or guitar, whatever it is you're doing. That record, because she left us kind of free reign to kind of do what we wanted to do. As long as it's pleasing to her ears, it's, oh yeah, let's go there. That would be one. But the other record we did, Throne Room, was the same kind of thing. Here's her concept, and then we took that concept, because you notice on that record, half of it is a certain kind of vibe. Then the second half of it does another kind of. So we were just experimenting around with the liberty to do kind of what we wanted to do. She gave us kind of free reign to do that. And that's great when an artist will kind of let you do what you do.
Yeah, do your job.
And hopefully they like what it is you're doing.
Right.
Was everybody's in agreement, it makes it a lot easier to do. And then we get to call the players that we think connect and pull all that together. So we had some of the same players that we always use. Kirk Whalum's on it, Paul Jackson Jr., the same number of people all the time.
And I love what you said. You said that you weren't really trying to do something that the gospel industry was doing. You just pulled from things that you knew. And I think because you trusted your instincts and you were given that opportunity to have free reign in that realm, you and your brother's sound, I believe, stamped an imprint on gospel music that's the music I grew up with, So when I think of like gospel music, that's the sound that I think about. And you changed the trajectory of gospel music. So that's why I'm a huge fan of yours.
The thing is, we were not trying to necessarily change anything. We were just trying to be authentically ourselves, or being what God has put in us through. From my dad's music, my dad was a big band kind of guy. He used to listen to Benny Goodman, Duke Ellington. You can incorporate that with the R&B that was going on in the 70s and 80s, gospel where it was with James Cleveland, Walter Hawkins, Andre Crouch, Billy Preston. And then to the jazz stuff, said I was listening to George Benson's David, Sanborn, Chick Corea, Herbie Hancock. We were listening to all of that. Jeff Lowe Fusion. So you put all that into one. So, okay, now how do we put all of that in the music so that people don't have the notion of saying, well, I don't like it because it ain't R&B. I don't like it because it's not true jazz as opposed to watered down jazz. We were just putting all the elements of what we knew into it all. So hopefully it would attract everybody. Because once you attract everybody, then maybe you get tired of listening to the music eventually and start listening to the word.
That's right.
Because the word don't save you. The music ain't saving nobody. We're just trying to make sure we could attract all the attention. So the best way to do it, that's what attracted us to all these different kinds of music. And how do we put it all together? So let's put that all together in an artist. I'm still doing that today. My brother's still doing that in his own way. We're not working together the same as we did back then, but we're still doing things together.
Now you have a new project coming out, or it's out. Wait. Talk a little bit about your new project.
Well, it's a single.
It's single, yes.
It's single. It's just another one of those inspired tunes, watching life, watching people live life. It's from Isaiah 40. It's watching people. It's almost as if they've forgotten who runs this thing, who created it all for us to live in, and hopefully live it right, live the right kind of life. So that's what it's based off of. It's about who created all of this for us, and who renews our strength when we get weak. And actually, this tune is actually a duet with me and my daughter. So it's kind of like a father-daughter duet kind of thing. So we worked on it together, wrote the lyric and the melody thing together. That's how that came about.
And it sounds great. I did get a chance to listen to it, of course, and people can stream it. Well, they can listen to it on YouTube. They can buy it on your website. Is that correct?
Right, that's correct.
Wonderful. Now, is it also on Apple Music? I'm not sure.
It is not there yet, but it will be. I've just put it so far, YouTube and, of course, my website. Because it's actually not available to buy except on my website right now. But it will be.
Okay.
It's a slow process when you have your own label versus being on another label. Because Say It Now, when we put out our record in 1988, we were on MCA. So all that business stuff got taken care of by somebody else. All we had to do is deal with the music. In my case, have a label. I'm the business administrator. I'm doing more than just writing a song, composing a song. I'm dealing with the copyright. I'm dealing with the publishing, the whole 9 yards.
Hi friends, it's Phaedra, and you are listening to Phae's Place. Join us each week as we talk to industry insiders about their journey and what it takes to turn dreams into a reality. Whether you aspire to be in the entertainment field or just inspired by the hustle, count this as your backstage pass. Join us every Monday for a brand new episode. And also follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook at Phae's Place. We know that you wear many hats, and we know it takes a lot of hats to be really successful in this business in the entertainment industry, but you also are a professor, or you teach on college level. So what are you currently dreaming of now? This show is all about pursuing the dreams that God has placed in you. So what are you dreaming up now? What do you hope to still do?
Well, here's the thing. I'm playing it by ear because I don't have a choice. I got into teaching because of circumstances. The flood of 2010 just kind of threw a monkey wrench in the recording studio that my brother and I had. Bills still have to get paid. So the next thing you do is, okay, well, what else can I do? I had a degree, so let's see if I can find something teaching, because I was already still continuing to try to do the music thing, engineering thing, the whole 9 yards. And he did the exact same thing. So we both started teaching. Of course, he was coming from teaching in the first place. He was always a teacher in Chattanooga. So it's funny, when we first started teaching, we ended up teaching at the same school in the same classroom. So we were alternating. He was Monday, I was Tuesday. He's Wednesday, I'm Thursday, Friday, and the next week we would flip. I'll be 3 days a week, and he was 2 days. We were teaching about the recording industry at a school based on that. We were still together then, even though the studio thing was kind of on hold until we dealt with what we had to deal with pertaining to insurance and all that.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I got started. But then I started doing some separate things on my own. And then just some other things happened that kind of caused me to think I got a lot of songs in the catalog that I'd never done anything with. But you're spending so much time doing everybody else's record that you don't get around to it because of everybody else's records were paying the bills,
Right.
so to speak. And Sid and I had a name for producing records, but we didn't necessarily have a name as being artists, because even when we came out as artists in '88, we really didn't do much with it because we immediately almost got hooked into, well, let's go produce, because everybody started calling us produce because of the record. So we really never did the artistry thing at all. It was like the trampoline effect because of doing the record as an artist, that it catapulted us into producing. So we just kind of left that alone and just moved on away from it. But now I'm kind of back at it because the flood just kind of, it's like a detour with that. Okay, but what else do I do? Or what else does he do? So we start finding other things to do. Writing with people, engineering other people's records, just a multitude of things. Then, of course, what kind of got me to thinking really more about my own music again was actually when my mom died. Then, it's kind of like reality hits. I've got kinfolk who have died. It didn't hit just the same. And when my mom died, it's like, oh, that's going to happen to me. What else do I need to be doing that I'm not doing, as opposed to just working for all these other people? And I had a ton of songs. Start them up in the can over the years, over the past 30 years or whatever. And then my dad died the next year. That hits like a double whammy right there. So I just thought, it's time for me to put my stuff out. Great if I get some other stuff for other people and work with them. That's great. But it's time for me to put some other things out that have always been on my heart. It's just that, well, I don't have the following. You can come up with a multitude of excuses. The devil will do anything to keep you from doing what you really need to be doing. There's some of the things you need to be doing. So
That's right.
So I started going full-fledged, because I always thought about doing my own record.
Mm-hmm.
But I never just really got around to it. I just started up something, say I get back to it. Next thing you know, 4 years have gone by. I ain't done much of nothing. But when my parents died, it's like my foot, all of a sudden, I put my foot on the throttle then. It's like, I got to get busy because I don't know when my time is coming. So I got some things I got to do. So I just started doing it. So that's pretty much what I'm doing ever since 2014. That's when my mom died. I started moving a little faster, started getting a little more focused. Not that I wasn't focused, but I just kind of honed in a little better, and a little more than I was honed in. So, and then plus I had 2 kids. One of them was so interested in music, so I was trying to help her do her thing. And of course, she's doing her thing because she has a single out right now by an artist named Madison Ryan Ward.
Yes.
That's doing pretty well. I'm just trying to keep busy because life is short. It's long too, but it's still short. Because it's long when you think about how long you live and you still haven't accomplished anything. I've been on this earth this long, and yet I've only accomplished a little. So that's how I look at it both ways, keep myself moving. So I've done 2 projects, and this third thing that I'm doing, I'm just doing single by single by single. A different approach, trying something different.
I love what you said, playing it by ear. I think
I
that
mean,
is so great.
when, God said, well, here's something for you, or there's another opportunity that might come my way. It comes because of whatever I'm already doing or have done. And if it's something that I feel like God is leading me to do, let's go for it. I'm writing with who I need to write with. I'm calling the people to play who I need to call to play, the people to sing who I need to get singing. And I get inspired by, as soon as the minute I walk out the door, I might see something that just inspires a tune. I hear some comment on the news, whatever. I spend a lot of time watching the news too, because there's a lot of mess going on in the world. So, you can easily write a song. You just watch the news, and then I just go find something in the Bible that's scripturally based that goes around what's going on in the world. How can I carve out something that lends itself toward what can I say that helps people to say, yeah, maybe we need to straighten up. The people on the left need to move a little to the right. People on the right need to move to the left so we can get dead center, because that's where we're supposed to be anyway. Not so far out. I'm just doing what I need to do. Just trying to show that I'm ready to go to heaven as opposed to I'm not ready to go. That's my life, really.
I have been enjoying watching your Did You Know series on TikTok.
Well,
Make
good.
sure you all follow him so you can see everything that he does and stay attuned to all the projects and singles that is coming out, because we definitely want to be a support to you and sow back into your life like you sowed into ours through your music.
Well, thank you for everything. I'm doing the best that I can with the gifts that God gave me, and I'm gonna continue on. I got choices, but my choice is to follow Jesus the best way I can.
That's wonderful. Thank you for stopping by Phae's Place. Tune in next Monday where we will have a new episode. I love you all for listening. This podcast episode was recorded with Riverside.